Alright. Looks like I'm going to be focusing up on finishing up these side pieces tonight. These right in here. Try to get those done. Finish up the detail on them, and then probably move on to these blocks, finish those up, and we'll be getting towards the end of this. Hey Fuss, how's it going? That's looking a little blobby, so I might grab my square alpha. Finishing up the pillar, I'm getting these side pieces done. I started blocking in all of that, getting the cuts between those flat panels that were there before. Now I'm just finishing up any detail I wanted to add to it and kind of just roughing up so it's not so flat, and then I'll be moving on to these blocks up in here. Hey Stefan, I did the base model in Maya, and then I just ported it in piece by piece into zBrush, and then I did all the detail work inside zBrush. Thanks, ma'am. I was originally going to section this up too with these same kind of lines, but I'm actually kind of liking it as a one solid piece as it is right now, so I might wind up combining that into one piece and then just keeping it like that. I think if I break this up with the lines going through it, it's going to look a little too noisy. I'm doing this to scar up the surface a little bit so it's not so flat, so it gives a little bit more interesting detail to the surface when I do the normal map. I don't want to go too crazy on the flat surfaces though, because when it's flat like this it tends to not get as much wear as the edges would. I have a square alpha on right now. I tend to use some different alphas at the very end, like I'll use some crack alphas and things like that. But when I'm just sculpting like this, I tend to not use them too much. Sometimes I avoid using alphas that you find online too, because you know they're sort of pre-made, so sometimes if you use them your stuff can wind up looking like someone else's. And so for a portfolio piece I'd like to avoid that. thing's starting to get quite hefty at 18 million polygons there. The Trim Smooth Border brush with a square alpha on it's one of the best that I've found for doing like stone or rocks or things like that. Especially if you're going for more of a realistic look. Whereas something like the polish brush might be better if you're going for more of like that blizzard, you know, hand-painted look. I don't want to mess up that bottom edge too much. This one right here, it's just a custom polish with a couple different settings on it. I tend to set things to certain like intensities and things like that, and then just save them out if it's something that I use quite a bit. So for instance, my Trim Smooth is always set to a -83 focal shift with a square alpha. But the brushes you see over on the left are pretty much the ones that sure, I can send it over. Let me give me a minute, I'll dig it out of my files. You know, because I do mostly environment art, these are pretty much the brushes that I use the most. And here you can see the difference. If I do this one, the Trim Smooth Border gives you these really hard edges, whereas if I use this one, the polish brush, you can see that it kind of flattens everything, so it gives a really nice, like, if you need to fix something, so like the square alpha on the Trim Smooth leaves these bumps sometimes, so you can come in with that one and kind of just clean it up. I like to save my quick save to 5 minutes instead of 20. There should be a link to that brush. Yeah, that was my grand plan. Start a stream and then give you a virus. Been plotting it all along. I'm sure it is. They actually have like a pretty extensive like rules of do's and don'ts. Um, I stream a few times a week and then mostly on Saturdays and Sundays. Joys of having a full-time job during the week means I can't stream as much during the weeknights. All of my stuff is up on YouTube too, so I'm not sure if you've heard me over there. Oh yeah, it's a dream, isn't it? I work in IT in my full-time job too, which is slowly draining my patience. I mean, IT is not bad, like if you enjoy that kind of work. You know, for me it was, I have a degree in game art, so that's kind of what I wanted to focus on, but after I graduated, I've got a job pretty quickly in IT that paid relatively well. But it's not really what I want to do as a career. So it's more just, going to work every day doing something that I'm not really overly interested in. So I guess that's probably adding to the frustration. I worked in IT while I was attending school, for the school actually, so when I graduated after, I kind of had a couple years experience already and then just worked. Yeah, a sec, I'll fix that. I don't know why he just bugged out. swear like I set settings on this thing and it does its own whatever the hell that feels like. Alright, it should be good now. No, I missed that last one. If you want to just copy and paste it again, I think that's probably why he lost his mind. Yeah, I mean, if you found what you're interested in, then just go for it. You know, playing it safe is easier, but you know, if you found like the thing you want to do, then just do it. Especially with 3D printing, it's getting like so popular now. Yeah, I mean, getting like, you know, a guaranteed 9 to 5 job, you get like that security of having it, but it's boring. You know, the whole repetition doing the same thing day in, day out. And if you can get a head start on like before you're even done school, that's even better. Like I made the really big mistake of not pushing my portfolio while I was in school, and so when I graduated I didn't really have a very good portfolio to show. And then once I got a job in IT, you know, I was tired when I came home from work and everything else, so I didn't really work on it, and now I'm like having to play catch up. So, you know, if you can get that portfolio, you know, set and ready to go before you're even graduated, then you're good. Yeah, and do whatever's, you know, interesting to you. That's what it's all about. You only live once, you might as well have fun with it, right? Yeah, I mean, some people like it. Some people get used to it, and you know that's what they do. They get into that rhythm, and you know, I think as long as you're working in something that you enjoy, then the 9 to 5's not too bad. But I think too many people work jobs they don't enjoy just to, you know, pay the bills and make ends meet, and they wind up not very happy. Yeah, if you don't enjoy doing it, why bother doing it? Yeah, I mean, I don't mind working for other people too much, as long as I'm doing what I like. You know, I'm like the kind of person that, just lock me in a room with a cup of coffee and let me do my, let me do my work. Don't bother me. It's probably one of the other reasons I hate IT so much, because it's like, oh, a server went down, now I've got to go on a call with 20 different people. A lot of times when you're sculpting stuff like this too, you gotta kind of over-exaggerate it a little bit, because a lot tends to get lost when you put the texture on. I actually use this lunar matte cap to test the shadows on it because it gives that really hard light coming off the corner. Seeing this is all going into a super dark environment too, that's going to have really strong directional lights. It's important to test that shadow. I'm not really bothering with these edges because they're covered up by the other stones anyway, so there's not really a point to do anything to them. You always want to make sure you're changing up your brush size too, especially when you're using something like the Trim Smooth with a square alpha. That way you're getting lots of different looks. Because especially with a brush like that, the effect you get is very dependent on your brush size and your focal shift. If I move this more towards positive number, then you get a much blobbier look rather than going on the negative side, which gives you a much sharper angle on it. And if you actually Z-sub on H-polish, it will actually add stuff back into it so you can fill in holes. So it's good if you want to flatten something back out. Like, I'm going to be repeating this pillar a couple times in my environment, so I don't want any huge, like, really noticeable cuts and things into it, because then it becomes really obvious that you're just using the same model over and over. So I want to make sure that I get rid of any of those that are super noticeable. Yeah, I mean, I know people that work for different, gaming companies and so on. Met some cool people over the years. The school I attended actually worked pretty heavily with both Gearbox and id, so I got to meet a lot of the people from both of those studios quite a few times. Alright guys, that's my hour for tonight. Tomorrow night I think I'll be finishing up these last two panels right here. And then probably Thursday night I'm going to start it on these blocks. And what I'm going to do on those is I'm actually going to only sculpt maybe 2, 3 at the most I would say. And then I'm just going to duplicate them and fill out all of these so that I'm not, sculpting all of these because that would take forever. So that'll get done, and then after that, probably this weekend, I'll be finishing up this top piece. And then hopefully by Sunday, maybe Monday, I'm going to start working on building the low poly and getting all of that taken care of. So thanks for watching. If you want to see any of the past stuff, it's up on YouTube, so you can subscribe to my channel. There's a link down below for that. My streaming schedule is down there below too. I try to stream at about the same time every week, so if you want to check any further ones, make sure to follow. And yeah, thanks again.